Do you want the magic formula for a conflict-free open relationship? Yeah, I wish. Well, many couples think that open relationship rules will save them from stress, jealousy, and heartache. The truth is, they're not a magic spell to have completely comfortable relationships. But fear not, I got you. In this episode, I'm pulling back the curtain on what I've learned from working with nearly 100 couples, triads, and quads on what really does work so that you can structure your relationship in a way that feels safe, secure, and still sexy. You're watching Permission to Desire, a video podcast for the curious, the courageous, and anyone who wants to consciously build relationships on your own terms. I'm your host, Brian G. Murphy. I'm an author and certified relationship coach, and in this show, we explore what it takes to have fuller, more alive relationships and erotic lives. You'll see what's possible when you find the courage to tell the truth about what you really want. Say goodbye to shame, shoulds, and scarcity, and finally go after it. And in this episode, we're talking about all things open relationship rules. One thing I've learned from my years as a relationship coach and from being in an open relationship for more than 15 years now is that some open relationship rules are better than others. And in fact, some of them can actually make things worse. In this episode, you'll learn some examples of common but ultimately unhelpful open relationship rules. I'll give you some starter open relationship rules that you can put into practice in your relationship right away, whether you're brand new to opening up or you're just back to revisit some of your rules. I'll teach you how to set your own relationship rules. You'll learn what works and what to avoid. And then I'll give you something that you can use to level up your open relationship rules. I've got 3 tools that you can use instead of or in addition to traditional rules. Some common examples of open relationship rules that I've seen are: we don't talk about our hookups ever. Always have to talk about our hookups. You have to give permission or get permission in advance of the hookup. I never even want to know that you're having these hookups. You might have rules around who you're allowed to hook up with. Either it has to be someone that you know in real life in some capacity. It can't be a stranger off of an app. Or on the flip side, it has to be a stranger off of the app. It can't be anyone that you know in real life. You might have a rule that you only ever play together or that you never play together. There might be certain acts that you have to constrain yourselves to, or there might be certain acts that are always off limits. You might have a rule that no feelings are allowed, that it has to be just sex. You might have rules about where and when it can happen. Never in the bedroom, always out and about, only when you're traveling, only when I'm traveling. And then sometimes there are unspoken rules. Rules about how often it would be appropriate to be having extracurricular activities before it becomes, quote unquote, too much. How often or how frequently or just how many times you can have a hookup with the same person, again, before that becomes too much. If you're both home at the same time and neither one of you are doing anything together or doing anything in particular, there still might be an unspoken rule that it would be inappropriate for you to go out for a hookup, even if it would be totally fine for you to go run an errand or go walk the dog or go out for a run. If you have any of these rules in your relationship, that's absolutely okay. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't have them. Each relationship is different, and different things are going to work for different people. What I always say is that rules work really well until they stop working. So there's probably a really good reason why you had any of these rules in your relationship, or why you're thinking about or wanting some of these rules. If, however, you have some of these rules in your relationship and they're no longer working anymore, or they're causing strife or tension in your relationship, that's also okay. It might be time to reevaluate and possibly even revise some of your rules. And if that's why you're here, you are in the right spot. In my practice and my experience with myself and my friends, I find that these types of rules often don't work for a few different reasons, and different reasons will apply to different of the rules. Many of these rules are simply hard to enforce. Like, it's basically impossible for us to control how we feel about a person. And so, like, no feelings just is an amorphous thing to ever nail down. Some of these rules don't work because you might be following the letter of the law, but there's still some underlying concern or anxiety that goes unaddressed. And so even if everyone is, quote unquote, following the rules, they're no longer serving their intended purpose. Some of these rules don't work well because they can be logistically challenging. If one of your rules is that you have to give or get permission in advance, that can be tough if one partner is at work and wrapped up in a meeting, or if one person is traveling and in a different time zone. If you have a rule that you need to coordinate with your hookups with each other, if one of your hookups cancels, does that mean you have to then cancel your own plans? Sometimes it's just like tough for 2 adults to have plans at the exact same time for the exact same amount of length. These rules also don't always account for differing personalities, interests, or libidos. Sometimes one partner wants to be having a lot of sex and one partner doesn't. If your rule is that they have to be exactly even and you have to be doing the same things at the same times or have the approximate same number of partners, that can be tricky if you just want different things. Or if you want different things out of your hookups. One person might value some sort of authentic, meaningful connection in a hookup, while another person might really enjoy the anonymity of it and the fleetingness of it and the variety of it. Trying to have the same types of hookups just forces a mismatch of desire. There's also just something about the word rule itself. The word can feel paternalizing or restrictive for people. And in general, the idea of rules creates a culture of control rather than collaboration. Which is not to say that rules are inherently bad. For all intents and purposes, my partner and partners and I have rules. We might call them agreements or standard operating procedures or best practices to get around this sort of negative connotations or controlling connotations that can come along with the word rule. But at the end of the day, relationships work because we have some broad agreement on how we're going to go through life together. So I don't want you to get hung up on the word rule. And if you are hungry for rules, you can achieve that sort of same safety and security that you're looking for by having rules in other frameworks. But if the word rule works for you and it doesn't feel loaded for you or your partners, great. Call it a rule. Why do couples set rules in the first place? Usually, the two main reasons are to protect the existing relationship and to avoid uncomfortable feelings. I've now shared all about rules that don't work and some of the challenges that you might bump up against if you try to set open relationship rules. Okay, but so then now what? I do want to give you some examples of rules that you could use in your relationship. And I also want to teach you a framework for crafting new rules in a way that opens up space for collaboration and possibility rather than feeling restrictive and controlling. Here are some examples of open relationship rules that you could try out that open up room for collaboration, trust, and growth. We're always welcome to ask about a partner or a hookup, but we're never obligated to share on a specific timeline. If we start talking with someone that the other knows, we will let the other person know the next time that we are together. We will approach conversations about STIs and hookups gone wrong with compassion and gentleness. If we have sex in a more riskier than usual way, we will let the other person know before the next time that we have sex so that we can decide together if there are any additional precautions that we want or need to take. We won't hide significant connections from one another. I might forget to tell you about a lunchtime hookup while you were traveling with your mom, but I'm not going to hide from you someone that I've hooked up with multiple times or have been talking to for a while. Some of those might feel right for you and others won't. That's okay. Every relationship is personal to you, and so it makes sense that the rules or agreements that you make will also be personal to you. When I work with clients to set up their open relationship rules, or agreements, or standard operating procedures, or best practices, whatever you want to call them, I take a look at any of those knee-jerk type rules that we shared at the top of this episode, things like no sleepovers or no feelings, and we work to get at the heart of what is underneath the desire for those rules. What are you or your partner hoping that those rules will do for you and your relationship? If you can figure that out, then you can use that to craft even more effective open relationship rules or agreements that actually get at the heart of what is most important to you. Because almost always, no sleepovers or no feelings or not in our bed or not certain acts, there's some really important reason behind those. And just having the rules in place doesn't address that underlying concern, but also just chucking those rules out and saying rules are bad or we shouldn't have those types of rules, or some guy on the internet told me that those rules don't work, that also doesn't get at the heart of what is underneath that. And so always get curious about what is underneath those rules, and that will help you craft even more effective ones. If you want to take your open relationship rules to the next level, I have 3 tools that I think every relationship should use alongside of any rules or agreements that they have. And you might even use these instead of open relationship rules if these frameworks feel like a better fit for you. Rules promise to make you feel safe and secure and to never have to feel jealous or any other uncomfortable feeling, but they rarely actually do that. Rules are about restriction, but to feel safer, more secure, more alive, more excited, you need something additive. And that's where relationship rituals come into play. Relationship rituals reinforce your identity as a couple, and they ensure that the time that you are spending together is really deep and meaningful and not just taken for granted or a status quo or like Netflix and chilling or ordering delivery from the place that you really love, but it's like the 5th time that you've done it this month. In my work with clients, we build rituals around sex and romance and quality time, as well as how we spend our time together and what our vision for the future is, as well as shoring up our identity as a couple. The next tool that I have for you is boundaries. Before you can even really think about building relationship rituals or even relationship rules for that matter, it's really important that you have a clear sense of your personal boundaries. Boundaries are non-negotiable. They are what you will and won't accept in a relationship and in how you show up in life and how you move through this world. Be careful not to misuse or abuse the language of boundaries as a way to sneak in rules or to make ultimatums in your relationship under the guise of the more enlightened sounding, well, these are just my personal boundaries. Last week's episode was a deep dive into boundaries, what they are, what they aren't, and how to set them well for yourself. I'll put a link to that in the show notes down below. The third and final tool for you to use is a relationship roadmap. If a rule is the only thing keeping him from doing something or the only thing making him do something that you want him to do, then you are likely to worry about his true motivations. And in particular, you're likely to worry about what this means about your relationship or what the future of your relationship entails. You'll never get at the heart of what's really bothering you or what you're really hoping, wanting, desiring. There's almost always a deeper unmet need or desire unfulfilled that is at the heart of you trying to set an open relationship rule. And that's where a relationship roadmap can help. A relationship roadmap is a clear plan of how you operate as a unit. It is a vision for your life together as a couple. It helps you imagine where you're headed into the future and to know that you are safe and secure with one another. A relationship roadmap also includes a process for making decisions that are grounded in your values. Like, you can list out every possible rule, right? But if you're only ever following the letter of the law, you're not taking good care of each other. You can't possibly imagine every possible permutation that could ever possibly come up. If you have a relationship roadmap that makes clear your values and how you make decisions, you can feel confident in making decisions yourself, and you can also feel safe and secure knowing that your partner has your best interests at heart and you can trust the decisions that they are making when it comes to non-monogamy. If you have rules in place that are no longer working for you, or you're early on in the process of opening up and you want to make sure that any rules or agreements that you do set are going to be effective and set you up for success, then relationship coaching will be just the right thing for you. Go on over to thisisbgm.com/apply to learn more and set up a time for a next steps call where we will dive into the specifics of your relationship. And I will chart out a quick plan, the next 3 things that I think you should focus on in your relationship. That plan is yours to keep whether we work together or not. But of course, I will share how I can support you through coaching in making that plan a reality and answer any questions that you would have. Relationships at their heart are about love and joy and commitment, and they're supposed to be fun. And a relationship roadmap helps to make sure that your life is both like full of fun and full of meaning. If you've ever gone on a really exciting vacation or trip, that doesn't just happen by accident. You don't end up in the middle of a safari on accident, right? A lot of planning goes into that. I hope that you will treat the next years and decades of your life together with your person or your people with the same intentionality that you give to a vacation. Make a plan, tend to that plan, review and revise the plan, live into that plan, enjoy the plan, enjoy the life and the relationship that you're building together. That is the whole point of this. The rules are supposed to be in service of your thriving. And so always keep that at the heart of everything that you do.